For a very long time, we've experienced droughts, but this time it's very severe, and we're now feeding animals like people. You know, you have to buy food for animals, you have to take care of them. There's not enough water and all that. So there's been so much happening that is actually very, very painful.
Looking at the situation that the farmers are in right now, very disparate moments for their animals and for human life. They are facing danger because of the severity of this drought. We had long and short rains failing, and therefore we have experienced one of the longest droughts ever. We have lost a lot of animals right now, our farmers, and these animals, our people depend fully on them.
Kajiado, Nayioi, aitoti. Kore tanakata nkishu naata naraja imiet naitotito pokira. Ninche etung'uayie olameyu. Aata apa nkishu kumok oleng, 10 toki 20.
Times are changing and seasons are changing, and I want to confirm to the world that climate change is real. Climate change is real. We are experiencing long droughts than we have experienced any time in the past, and this is because of climate change.
Climate change has always brought about climate refugees. For the longest time, we've had people moving from one country to the other, from one location to the other, and so it has not been any different for people here. We are naturally pastoralists. We move, but we move to look for water and pasture for cattle. Today, people are moving even because of human beings as well. So it is something that has been there, and you know, also when you are migrating and moving to places, you leave without knowing where exactly you're going. And when you can get to some places and they are hostile, not only in terms of climate change, but where have you gone to? Is that your home? Whose home is that? Are you exempted there? Like, do you think you will settle there? So you still have to return back home, of course, with almost zero hopes, because when you come back here, it's the same problem and maybe even worse.
Esho oltumurel nelusoo lapaitin aja kesha oltumurel nelusoo nang'amu nkokua nesha lapaitin aja neeku ninye oshi inosieki endaa tenkop nkokua enchan oonkokua. Kore naa taata nemekure etii ninche naaji atejo ibelekenyate nkatitin, neeku mekure itum endaa nemitum naa enkiteng nimirr amu ketatelote ilchambai loondaiki sawasawa. Ore tooshi enesha nkokua nijo enya endaa olchamba larin aja waare. Neeku ore naa taata mekure eetae entumurel ake najorraa basi nelusoo nemesha nkokua nepuo ninche aiborr neyau emboot.
To be able to have food on the table, these animals has to be sold to buy food. For children to go to school, these animals has to be sold for children to pay school fees. For medical care, they depend on these animals. But right now, both goats and sheep and cows are emaciated. A lot of them have died, and therefore a lot of families are struggling to put food on the table. The few who are remaining are fed by, human effort. That means buying feeds for these animals, something that not most of farmers are able to buy these feeds for their animals.
What you're experiencing right now is as a result of the emissions that we've been emitting to the atmosphere, or rather they I like to say that because this is where the injustice bit comes in. For example, as Africa, we contribute less than 4%. Come to think of it, these are people who have contributed almost nothing to climate change, but are on the receiving end of the worst impacts.
Now, the gola la me yole, nimikiata sii enkare. Nkujit mikiata, nemekure emirayu inkishu. Minyiang'u enkine nkujit oonkishu, neminyiang'aki ate. Neeku nikiata sii enkure enkare. Kiata enkure enkare. Nikiata esumash enkurma. Neeku iyiok nena ibelekenyate nkatitin. Mekure enapa kata kitii kibulu iyiok. Ibelekenyate nkatitin.
Kajiado is one of the ASAL counties in Kenya, and water is so scarce, and we need support from these areas, or especially on these areas, from governments. We need this support from non-governmental organizations and humanitarian organizations to come and help us try alleviate this problem that our people are going through at the moment. I would like to interest our country the importance of trying to, correct whatever harm that we are causing to the environment, to the climate, because the consequences of, destroying nature are very severe. The consequences are dire, and one of the consequences is what we are going through right now. I know developed countries emit a lot of gases to the air, causing, air pollution and, destroying the ozone layer and changing the whole pattern of climate pattern. And you can imagine the effects that, innocent people like the mamas here around and the vulnerable people are going through because of climate change. Three areas needs our attention. One is food for people. A lot of people are sleeping hungry. School-going children are starving. Also, the animals need feeds, otherwise this drought will wipe them away. They need pellets and feeds of every kind. And water, there is acute shortage of water, and our people require water tracking at the moment. Some streams are dried up completely.
We have been able to let some part of the society, not really large, but at least what we've done is to let them know that this is what is happening. We are having, the climate is changing, we may not expect rains, the weather patterns are also changing, the rainfall distribution pattern is also changing. So it's been able to let people know that this is a problem that may not also end today. So preparing many people psychologically. Elsewhere outside, I believe telling our stories have also helped in one way or another. We've had a lot of people coming from all over the world supporting the little initiatives, not only in my county or in my country, but even in Africa.
Ada nanya olameyu, omalameyu ake odaa, ometumutai olapa reu. Atiaka toolorin eshomo ailepie enkishui ai nene. Etaa errarrata. Neeku ore kulikae tung'anak eitu kiindurr. Kiting'iria nikipuo aayau nkujit aitoti nkishu, nkurman, nyoo. Naa kidoorie toltung'ani otu. Ashu mekure toi ninye kitum pookin enkarn ai. Kanyoo naa ena benki naatoki king'idare irmaasai natii boo, enkine ake enkiteng'. Nemekure naa inyang'aki nkulie nkurman. Menya toki enkiteng' nemenya enkine.
And maybe to also mention that we've had a lot of cases of malnutrition among our children. The quality of education they are getting is now not okay, because you can imagine you're going to school on an empty stomach, you're just eating whatever that is there to keep you, to push you to the next hour. And as much as we see animals dying and all that, we also have children and lactating mothers suffering, and very many people actually having to die because of that.
I want to tell all of us that we have a responsibility. Developed countries and undeveloped countries, how we treat our environment, how we treat our nature is very important. If we treat nature well, nature will treat us fairly. But if we unfairly treat nature, it will also treat us unfairly. And therefore, I call all of us to be responsible. I know the efforts of our government to try and increase tree cover and protect the environment. We all have a responsibility. Whether you are in the rural area or you are in town, we have to protect our environment to be able to treat us well and do away with the long droughts that we are going through at the moment. We have to correct the future.
We are going to continue pushing and adding our voices, and to also encourage them that this is a fight that some of us found it, and so we shouldn't stop at there. Just to encourage anybody who is aware, anybody who's educated, to keep sharing the information with our children, so that as we grow with a generation of environmentally conscious people. Because I believe if that is what happened before, we wouldn't be here. It's been years, and what is happening right now was predicted years back, just that there was no much attention. And I like to remind people that, you see, it's COVID. COVID was science, you know. And what puzzles me is that a day like today, where we didn't have a case of maybe any COVID case, we were so comfortable. And a day like tomorrow, when we have one COVID case, everybody's running up and down, you know, what's happening, how can we contain this? We are putting these billions of money to do this, but it's climate crisis. We cannot self-isolate, so we cannot quarantine for this one. We cannot keep a distance, and it's not being given the same attention. Yet we had all this information from science. So it's just ignorance. When it comes to climate financing, there's a lot of push and pull from who is supposed to cut on emissions, who's supposed to finance green, maybe shifting to green and clean energy, or maybe shifting to the green way, who's supposed to finance. And sad to say, we attend conferences, companies, countries are promising, you know. Of course, we love to hear the promises, but they are promising to cut emissions by 2070, I don't know, 2080. And then you come and look at what is happening right now. It's 2022. Nobody tells you what they will do on Monday. Nobody tells you what we are going to do next week. Nobody, nobody is saying what is supposed to be said. People are just saying things for the sake. So I believe the fact that climate change is now affecting other countries is going to act as a wake-up call or a call to action, which I think that's the little hope remaining for some of us. We are waiting to see what these countries will do. And I believe we can still do something if we commit. So when the finances that we are financing fossil fuels, we can transfer the finances and finance what we can in moving from fossil fuels to fossil free.
Yolo,